Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Gloria Taylor. I am the president of the Weber State chapter for the NSLS. Today, I'll be talking about the SNT facilitation training for the fall 2025 semester. I am very passionate about SNTs. I've been doing them for probably about 2.5 years now, and I find a lot of value in doing so. So as we go through this presentation, feel free to take notes. Be prepared to look through the Success Networking Team's facilitation guide, which I'll talk about a little bit later, and be ready to be a leader for your SNTs. However, we should start from the beginning before we jump right in. So let's talk a little bit about what a success networking team is. These teams were designed to network and to get a close, tight-knit group that's small. I would say between 3 and 15 people, depending on the executive board members that are available. And we take these leaders to share advice on setting goals and to provide accountability on whether these goals are being achieved or not. We also ask the overarching question, are your SMART goals smart? This is a great overview and it gets very specific because we want to make sure that as we're setting these goals, that they're realistic and that they can actually be done in the time frame we're looking for them to be done, which is 2 weeks. So during leadership training, they did set these goals, right? One of them that I remember was to get an associate's degree over this academic year. So if that's the goal that they set, we should find something that they can do. They, not we. They should find something they can do within a 2-week time frame that's going to get to that overall goal. SNTs, they are so awesome. So, why be an SNT facilitator? That's a great question. One, you gain skills. I bet you already knew that. So these facilitation positions are designed to highlight these skills that employers are currently seeking. If you have not done the Wildcat Advantage program and the reflection session that they host, which isn't until the end of the semesters, they will talk about NACE competencies, and these are things that employers are actively looking for. With the upbringing of AI and how well integrated it is into society now, with being able to check our essays and make sure that they're good or give us brainstorming ideas. As humans, we can bring the personal side through communication and facilitation and building teams. So it's really important that we foster these skills to be more valuable as an employee when it comes to our future careers. So let's talk about them. Communication's a big one, right? How do we communicate and what does that look like? And how do we provide feedback to the members that we have? You may have someone who talks a lot. You may have a group that doesn't talk at all. How are you encouraging those conversations or pumping the brakes and allowing everyone to share? Also, how do you interact with these people on the sidelines? These people, members, they are members of the NSLS. So are you having those conversations? As we'll see a little bit later in the agenda, how are you greeting them when they come on? Are you saying, hey, good morning, Joe, how are you? Hey, Macy, I just saw that you logged on. What's your day look like? Like, how do we facilitate these conversations to make them more personal between each other? And then facilitation, right? That's why we're doing what we're doing. We are the facilitators, and as facilitators, we have multiple things we're doing. One is assigning roles, which we'll talk about on the right-hand side of the PowerPoint here. And we're also providing accountability. This could be accountability for goals, but it could also be accountability for showing up on time, so we don't need to backtrack and talk about what we already talked about. And then team building, which I think is one of the biggest things that we're doing here. How are you going to build that trust with the members so they can set more ambitious goals or goals that are personal to themselves that are sometimes hard to share? How are you collaborating or fostering that collaboration? Are you asking questions? Are you saying, hey, Joe, that was a great idea that you had for Nicole. Nicole, how do you feel about that? Is that something you're into or not? And then conflict resolution. Did you just get some anxiety? Conflict resolution can happen anywhere at any time for any reason. It could be someone's having a bad day and they say something that's off-putting. It could be that you have someone who might be a little argumentative about how you are facilitating, because that happens too. So, how do you resolve a conflict in a way that's not only professional, but that brings compassion and kindness and understanding to that other person? And adaptability. This one is variable, right? Like being able to adapt is a huge skill, especially if you're someone like me who may be a little more A-type, but also likes to do things like very structured, right? I have a plan, I want to stick to that plan. If you throw a wrench in my plan, how am I going to react? Hopefully, pretty well, sometimes not. So, how are you going to be able to adapt to the things that are coming up? And then not looking at like career building, right? Because this obviously can go on your resume. The more you do, the better you get at it. And this can be something that's really helpful in other facilitation roles. Like, for example, I am teaching a workshop for a whole hour about goal settings to a class on campus sometime next week in October. Holy cow, like this is something I've prepared my whole life for because I've been doing these small group SNTs. So it can really like help you in that aspect. But if we take it back to the experience of it itself, it can be impactful. For example, I held an SNT where I had a girl, let's call her May, who wanted to be a nurse, and she set a really ambitious goal that she failed to achieve a couple of times. And eventually she just asked if there was something else that we could do that would help her like get to a good place, because the feedback that she was seeking wasn't really happening and she wasn't getting the advice we needed. So I spent a little extra time with her, and I provided feedback because I usually take the back burner as a facilitator unless they need support in having conversations with each other. But I participated a little bit more, and as I got to know her why is she doing this in the first place? And where are her passions and how are they driving her forward? We were able to come up with some really good specific goals that helped her achieve these very short term things that really enhanced her experience as a leadership. And even to this day, we still communicate and have conversations. And there was a lot of trust that needed to happen, but it was also like a wow factor for me that not only can I really help someone work through what they need to work through in order to get to goals that are going to be beneficial, but just the insightfulness that she had and the inspiration um, that she provided in really finding passion behind her goals was so amazing for me. It was an impactful experience. So, as long as you're open to receiving that, you should be able to find something in each of these meetings that will inspire you or be impactful or get you thinking in a different way. Now, going back to facilitation and assigning roles, these members, as we committed to providing leadership opportunities and helping them fine tune their leadership skills, this is part of that. So highly encourage people to get involved this way. And you can pick and choose, like sometimes you're not going to need a logistics coordinator. Other times, if you have small amount of people coming to your group, you don't need a communications coordinator either, or an active, no, back up there. I highly recommend though a timekeeper, a recorder, and an activity coordinator. One, creativity is not a bad thing, and sometimes people can get bored, especially if it's not in person, where you're actively engaging everybody all at once. The recorder is going to look at all the goals that we have. and email the commitments to everyone. The timekeeper keeps people on track and on task. So if we get off on a tangent, they're the ones that say, hey guys, we got to bring it back. We have a time frame to keep here. Also, keep your sharing to 1 minute, and they can check on that. Like 30 seconds is left. They can say, Joe, you got 30 seconds. I don't know why Joe is like the top name for me right now, but we're going to hear a lot about Joe today. And also have fun with like looking at the other leadership opportunities and roles that we have available that was given in the leadership training day. This just helps them like hop on board. And then keep in mind that these are not time consuming. People struggle with time, but the timekeeper, the recorder, even the activity coordinator, you don't have a lot of time, and most of the things that happen are going to happen during the meeting. The recorder will need to send an email out at the very end. So as long as they're keeping updated notes about what that looks like, it'll be easy just to send out all of the information. You can also in advance get all the emails from everyone and send that in the as an email to the recorder and the communications coordinator. So it's really simple and easy for them to do that. The communication coordinator has roles that are outside of the SNT. However, it's not time consuming. They may send an email a week after you guys met and said, hey, I hope y'all are doing great. We're a week in. You have a week left to achieve your goals. Stay with it. We're going to meet on this day. Can't wait to see you. And then they also reach out to people who RSVP'd and said they would show up and didn't. And again, that's like one email, one rough draft. They get the email addresses, BCC the peeps, and they're ready to go. So it's not a lot of time commitment, but it is consistency. And these are small things that they can use on their resume in addition to collaboration and providing feedback and building trust with each other. Okay, so you know what an SNT is, you know why it's beneficial to you and to the members. I am just getting over a cold right now, so sorry about my coughs. And I hope you can hear me okay. I know this is so delayed, guys. So the pre-meeting checklist is very important. The room reservations and Zoom link time frame is not going to meet what we have here, and that's okay. It's the first meeting. The other ones, you are going to want to follow this to a T because it does respect everyone's time. This information and the ones on the following slides can be found in the Success Networking Team Facilitation Guide provided by the National Office at nsls.org. I will explain how to get there at the end. So first thing, room reservations should be done 2 weeks before the event. 1, to ensure you have a room reserved. 2, if you're meeting in the library, you can only do it 2 weeks in advance. And 3, sometimes if you want to go in like an open space like Shepherd Union or out by the clock tower, it might be uncomfortable for some people or distracting. We want everyone to be focused. I think the later meetings that you have 2 and 3 are a little easier to go out and sit wherever because they're more comfortable. But also, we haven't talked about this yet. Confidentiality is really important. So sometimes people are not encouraged to share personal goals in a public space. So having a place where we can close the door and talk about those things can be important and essential. But again, you'll know what that looks like after the first meeting and the goals that are being set. Always encourage electronic devices for a couple of reasons. The first one that comes to my brain is if you have these roles assigned to the members, they may need something to write everything down with to send an email out. Also, at the very end, we don't do attendance like we do for orientation or LTD. They submit a form on nsls.org showing what their goal is, how they're working to achieve that, and how the NSLS has changed their life drastically. I would like to say that's sarcasm, but there is a final question on there. So you'll see that if you haven't already, but I'm sure you have because you've done your SNTs. They need to fill that out. And if you have time at the end to do that, make sure it happens. We'll talk more about that later. And then send an email reminder a day or two in advance. The NSLS calendar, I believe, does that. But what's better than sending something out? Let me back up. What's better than getting a message from someone who's not a computer? Going back to that AI stuff, right? Like sending this email out saying, hey, just want to let you know we're going to meet tomorrow at this time on Zoom or in this room. I'm excited to hear from you. Make sure to come with your electronic devices so you can record information and submit your SNT. And I felt like something else was going to be exciting there. Um, be on time. Also know the first meeting can run a little longer because we have X amount of people and you're getting to know each other for the first time or maybe the second. Pre-meeting checklist is so important. It keeps us on our toes. It keeps us ready to roll. It keeps us focused. It also helps us with our members. Are we reaching out to them before they reach out to us? And that's really the big question here. Are we making them work harder than they have to? Because the harder they have to work on getting information that should already be provided is a deterrent to attending these meetings and respecting our time. So make sure that this happens. Also, I skipped over this. The Zoom link should be added to the calendar invite by you. You'll just go in the calendar, you'll find your SNT, you'll click on edit, and it will allow you to add the Zoom link. I have one from the NSLS that I can provide to you that you can use. You should be co-hosts on there. This will allow you to share your screen. Keep in mind, however, if you do not test this out beforehand, you could come up with some problems. So hop on a Zoom link, try and share your screen. It's really that simple. You should have access. If that is it something you're interested in, then go to your school Weber email and you will have access to Zoom with the subscription that comes with your undergraduate, well, with being a student. And this will give you the appropriate time frame to have these meetings. If you use a personal account, which is not recommended, you could be cut off early. I think it's 30 minutes, but it could be 45. And a lot of the times, if you get cut off, people don't come back after that. They'll submit what they need to submit if they know that that's a requirement, and then they'll miss out on the end stuff, which, as you'll see, is very important in these upcoming things. Okay, now for the fun part. If you're like me and you do a high overview of this slide, you will see that it looks like it's going to take an hour and a half to do this. It may not. In some instances, it may. This is just an overview from the NSLS Facilitations Guide provided from the national office. But some of these are overlapping, right? Like it's not one after the other. You kind of mush it all together, shake it up, and then like roll the dice and see what happens. I'll explain why that's true. But first, going back to those skills you're going to be learning, prepare to adapt to your team. The first meeting is always the most chaotic, meaning that you may have people show up late. You may have someone send you an email as you're trying to facilitate saying, hey, I didn't get the link. I don't know what this looks like. I'm having trouble getting on. That you may need to take a minute to adapt. So be prepared for that. If you have a more A personality like me and you really like structure, this can cause a explosion of water to fill your house and you feel like you're drowning. And that's okay. Know that I will send you a life vest telepathically, a life circle. What is that round thing called? A life boat? The round thing, like the lifesavers, that they throw you. I will send that telepathically to you. If you prefer, I will sit on that first meeting with you as long as I don't have a class. So know that it is okay if you need to adapt and if it doesn't work out like you expected. I've had to do it so many times, and I am still here, thriving in my 30s. Okay, also know that if you have 10 or more members, your first meeting is probably going to go over an hour. You should tell these people that. These people, I mean members, you should let them know that we have X amount of people. Expect that this meeting may run over because we do introductions in the first meeting. The following meetings, we will work to have really clear and concise idea of what's going on so we won't exceed that 1 hour time frame, and then follow through. Also note that if someone has a hard stop at like 10 o'clock on a Monday because they have class, have them share first. Take a note and allow them to share so they can get the most out of this experience. And then maybe touch base at the 5-minute mark before 10 o'clock and say, hey, you need to submit this stuff online. Go to the closing remarks and then circle back to the goal setting. I wish you guys could see my hands because my hands are like going hard over here. Okay, so we start at the beginning. Take 5 minutes to welcome people. And by welcome, I mean when they hop on that Zoom link, say, hey, Joe, how's it going? Oh, Marcy, I saw you just hopped on. How was your breakfast? And really like interact with these guys. Also, it's a good idea because as you're like looking at who's actually showing up and who isn't, if you have someone hop on a Zoom link that says iPhone 15, not sure if that's out because I don't follow iPhones, ask them their name. I'm usually pretty open with that. And I say, hey, iPhone, what's your name? And then either they get it or they don't. And you can reiterate, but just like acknowledge. And then take attendance. Because that very first meeting, you're going to need to do that. And then we're going to go into the SNT Facilitator's Guide, or you're going to have some notes written down or it memorized. And read the purpose of an SNT because these guys should know why they're here. A lot of students, I feel like, want to check the boxes off and say, okay, this is what I'm going to do because I have to get induction. You don't have to, but if you're going to be here, you should be here for the right reasons and really find that drive behind why you're doing what you're doing. And then confidentiality. What we say here goes. Just kidding. That's not for everyone else. It's for our members that are participating in this specific facilitation or SNT, which is why when I talked about my impactful experience, I didn't use her first name. So the meetings should not be recorded. And if someone asks to have it recorded, you just kindly remind them that because of confidentiality reasons, we don't record these meetings. You come, and that's also why we have someone like, I want to say a logistics coordinator. I don't feel like that's right. Um, I need to get those rules down. But that's why we have people, the recorder, who's going to write down the goals and the action steps so we can really achieve what we're looking to achieve here and hold people accountable as they achieve their goals, modify their goals, or don't complete their goals. And then we're going to work on assigning roles. Will that happen in the first 5 minutes? Probably not. But that takes me to the next thing that is also 5 minutes-ish, playing the SNT video. I will also talk about how to do this at the very end. This video is with my favorite guy. I wish I remembered his name. I'm really sorry that I don't. But his goal is to pop in and say, hey guys, welcome to your first SNT meeting. You will learn all of these things. But first, let's take a moment to introduce ourselves. And then pause the video until you're done. You'll pause the video, do introductions. Then you'll start the video again and it will say, hey guys, welcome back. Now that we've done this, these are all the roles you can do, and this is all the things that those roles do. Pause the video to assign those roles, and then you'll assign them. So this video, although it's under 5 minutes, it will take you through all the steps of an SNT. So if you haven't done this before, rely on those videos and it will give you a good idea of what to expect. And that takes me to the next thing, the 3 steps and the meat and potatoes of everything that we do in these meetings. So the first step is to state your goal and the desired outcome. Okay, I have a goal. I want to get a B in taxonomy, mostly because I heard it was a hard class, but also I know that it's very important that I understand how plants are related to each other and what plants belong to what families. And that way you can find commonalities. And as I go throughout my experience, I'm going to know how to do that and how to care for these plants. Step 2, get ideas and suggestions. Well, Gloria, that doesn't seem very specific. You seem very vague in how you're going to achieve this bee in taxonomy. What does that look like? And when are you going to achieve those things? What is the time specific goal? Oh, facilitator, well, I want to achieve this by the end of the semester. Oh, that's nice. But how are you going to get there? Like, what do those smaller steps look like? We have 2 weeks to do this goal. So the end of the semester, you have at least 6 weeks, right? So what's that first stage look like? Oh, that's a great question. I should make flashcards during these first 2 weeks and study them after class every day. Okay, cool. Is that achievable? Have you done this before? Are you really able to say after this class, 2 times a week, I'm going to be able to go through all the 50 flashcards that I have? Those are the types of things that we want to encourage people to have conversations about when it comes to being achievable, but also that's the suggestions and ideas that help fine tune. And then step 3, creating those action steps, which I touched base on a little bit, right? What are the specific things you're going to do? Well, I'm going to make flashcards. I'm going to look at them after class and just do a quick review. And then I'm going to look in my textbook and read about the different classes and structures that can really identify these plants. And I'm going to do that on the opposite days that I do my flashcards, so I have enough time to hit all the components throughout the week. And if I spend 30 minutes every other day or 30 minutes every day doing these things, that's an achievable action step for me. 3 steps, right? Sometimes this will be combined all together. Sometimes you can go through it individually, and that's okay. The first meeting, I recommend individually. Have them state the goal. Have people talk about, is that smart? And then what are you going to do to actually achieve this goal? Okay, SNT review. That's completed on the NSLS website. This is something I highly recommend at the end or towards the end, that you say, okay guys, I'm going to share my screen and show you how to access this form and show them what the form looks like. You're just going to go to your members dashboard. There's going to be a little circle where you've done orientation, you've done leadership day training. You may have completed your broadcast, your speaker broadcast. That little circle that says SNT, you're going to click on that, and at the top, there's my finger. At the top, it's going to show you submit SNT form. When you click on that, there's a list of things you need to provide. Do this immediately. If you do it towards the end of, let's say, the week or the next week, it just looks like you're submitting a bunch of goals without actually like taking time to do the work. So submit it as soon as possible. If you have a small SNT group, do it at the very end and have them go on and submit those things. If you have a larger group, highly recommend that if they have a few minutes afterwards to submit those, take the time to do that on your own. If not, no more than 28, maybe 48 hours. I'm sorry, 24 to 48 hours to get that submitted so they get credit and so it looks like they actually did the work when they said they did the work. Okay, and then closing remarks. Discuss and RSVP to the next meetings. This would look like, hey guys, there's 8 of us here today. My next meeting is on October 20th at 4 p.m. I only see 5 people RSVP. So if you haven't already, go on to that next calendar invite, RSVP, so I know I can expect you there. Sometimes people are just finishing up these goals and they won't be there the next meeting, and that's okay. But you want to highly encourage them to stick with it. You may also have some concerns about, well, I can't attend this meeting. Can I attend a different one for this week? Yes, you can. You may be out of the loop though. Because how do you hold someone accountable that you haven't heard their story about their goal? And how do others hold you accountable for that too? So there's like some small caveats to that, and they can also attend an SNT virtually. But the idea is that they'll give it at least 2 weeks, maybe a week and a half. A week is kind of cutting it to get those submitted. The goal is to really work and focus on the goals that they set. Remind them of roles. Hey, communication person, make sure that you send these we missed you emails to the people who didn't show up today, and you let us know in a week and give us an update on how we're doing, or just reminding us when the next meeting is. Submit that SNT, y'all. And then talk about upcoming events that we may be hosting, or that the school is hosting, to get them involved. Part of these leadership things allows us to really like explore the different options. Like I know casino night, if they're going to go to that, they might as well say they're with the NSLS, because we could get club funding. And we all know how exciting that is to have money available to us when we're hosting these events. So let people know about upcoming events through the the NSLS, and through Weber State. Okay, here are some best practices. I'm not going to talk about all of them, but I do want to talk about sharing feedback. It's essential that everyone is participating. I highly recommend having cameras on. I highly recommend getting them in chat and having open conversations by taking themselves off mute. However, you may have really chatty people, and you may not have people who want to say anything. I would keep sharing to about a minute per person, which is where the recorder is very important, and then redirect if we're getting off on a tangent. Also, if there's someone who like knows everything about nursing and they've gone through the program more than somebody else, have them connect offline. This is a great way to network with people who are experts or specialists in the area that they are looking to set their goal in, or may have like some tips on who to work with faculty, or how to really invest in that time. And just like sending an email or like getting a phone number is going to be really helpful to have them network and get to know somebody else without using everyone else's time. So definitely encourage offline sharing. And then set the standard. You should have at least 2 people do feedback. No one wants to be there and be like, oh, who has a comment about this thing? And no one says anything. So encourage that facilitation and that feedback's being provided. Also, if you haven't heard from someone like the almost entire meeting, you can ask them, hey Joe, have you ever had a time where you tried to study and you got distracted? Do you have any best practices for that, or what did that look like for you? Okay. And then the commitment to action steps. Another way to look at this, instead of goal and action steps, is performance-based goals and task-based goals. So a goal is a desired outcome. What do you want to get out of this? Well, I want to get a B in taxonomy. An action step is a concrete thing that is going to help them achieve that desired outcome. I am going to do this by making flashcards by this deadline. I'm also going to create a Excel sheet that's going to help really outline all of these things, so I could just quickly review the commonalities. And then I'm going to read in my book for 30 minutes every other day that I haven't been looking over these flashcards. Those are tangible things I can do consistently throughout the semester to get that B. And those are task-oriented goals. So it's like you have this big 2-week goal and then these smaller goals within the goal. Action steps, the most important thing about setting goals. I provided other examples on the right-hand side. If you want to get a Rhodes Scholarship, a good action step would be looking at qualifications and see how you compare and how you can enhance your qualifications. So definitely take a look at those, again, from the facilitation guide. All right, y'all. Final steps. And I do have an assignment for you. I know time frame sucks right now because this is so delayed, and I apologize about that. Yeah, I hate, like I said, I'm an A personality, so falling off and getting a wrench thrown at me and like hitting me in the face makes me really sad. And this is one of those things that I just really wanted to get out sooner and didn't have the time. So, final thoughts. Facilitation is a skill. This isn't something you wake up one day, although you can, like if it's natural, right? But for most people, you don't wake up one day and say, I am the facilitator of a lifetime and I know how to do everything and I am so good at it. Unexpected things are going to happen, and be able to like flow like water, like a river. Like the trees in the wind, not the crazy wind, like the nice breeze in the summer. Um, know that you can overcome these things. And if something crazy and wild does happen and you're like, oh, I don't think I handled that well, then reach out to me and let's talk about it, because it could happen again. Something worse could happen or something easier could happen. But talking it through is always helpful. And know that if something does happen and your facilitation your first time is like rocky, like mine, this is where growth happens. These are good things. These are things that are going to help you become a better leader and a better facilitator and more purposeful and meaningful and asset based for your employer in future careers. So don't worry. Things happen and you're just growing. I'm going to dump a little water on you to help you sprout. Okay, review the facilitation scenarios in the SNT Facilitators Guide. You can find this if you log in. Make sure you're on your leadership dashboard. On the left-hand side, you'll go down to the, it's not a paperclip, clipboard. When you click on that, I think it is Manage My Chapter. You will find the NSLS Documents tab. You're going to want to click on that. That's going to pull up the 1,000 documents that we have available. If you scroll down, or if you're on a computer, over on the right-hand side, you can search the categories. Choose the Success Networking Team Meetings in the document category. And in the video categories, SNT meetings is the option you want. Scroll down and click the red button that says filter. You will see at the top the documents available, and as you scroll through there, you will see a PDF of Success Networking Team, SNT in parentheses, Facilitator Overview. Download that. It's going to tell you everything you need to know about SNTs and extras that I didn't touch base on in this video. You can also watch the video, which is an overview of SNTs that will be underneath. But all of these videos are labeled. There should be 4 that come up. Use the SNT meeting 1 for your first SNT. That's what you're going to want to do. That one can be pulled up and shared directly from the website, so you don't need to worry about like downloading that or anything. But pull those things up. Next, after you're looking through the scenarios, select a scenario that you are really confident in handling. There are so many. For example, for me, it would be having someone show up late. And being able to address those, not in front of the group, but just saying, hey, Joe, can you stay after? I just want to talk to you for a minute. And then have that conversation and say, hey, I noticed you showed up late. Is this a good time for you? And they'll tell you, yeah, blah, 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 this and that. If it happens the next meeting, let me back up. It's okay if they show up late one time. Like you're in a new meeting, you're trying to navigate stuff. Maybe you just got out of class. That's okay. It becomes an issue when it's consistent. So, like the next meeting, they show up 15 minutes late. Hey, Joe, I need to talk to you. Can you stay after for a couple minutes? Okay, cool. I know you had an issue the first time because your car wasn't started, so you showed up to campus late. I am a little concerned because you were 15 minutes late this time. Is this a good time for you? Did something happen? Okay, cool. I just want to let you know that like these things are really important, that you're showing up on time, because it's really a respect thing for everyone else, but I don't want you to miss something that could really help you in setting these goals or in knowing what to do and when to do it. Cool. And then select a scenario that you feel would be challenging. There are so many, and I feel like I've been challenged a lot with different things. Like, what do you do when someone says, I want to set a goal to get a 4.0? Okay, cool. Have you ever gotten a 4.0 before? Yeah, I'm holding a 4.0. I'm a junior right now. Oh, so is this something that we should probably change? Because if you're already achieving this goal, maybe a different goal would be better for you to set. Oh, well, I don't think that's true because I still need to focus on this. What do you do when that conflict happens? And then share both of those in the Teams chat. Now, I realize this is probably going to end up being close to 45 minutes long. So if you don't get to this before the SNT that you're hosting, that's okay, but like try. I know I was delayed on here, so I am gonna like give some leeway in this, but I do want to see these things in there. And I will post my own as well. And this is just saying like I feel confident handling a scenario where time management needs to be addressed, or I don't feel confident handling a scenario where there is a lot of conflict and people are arguing. Like, what do I do in that situation? And that way we can talk about it and provide feedback. It's a way to help you and to like get your brain pumping of what do we do in this situation. Oh, don't know if you can see that, but my computer is running low on battery, so I need to plug this sucker in. Okay. I thank you guys for being here and being patient with me. I hope that you could hear me just fine because I am, like I said, a little congested and my throat's been super scratchy. I appreciate your time and your patience with me. I hope that you found this of some value. I hope that you go through the facilitation guide and see what else you can find that's going to be meaningful and purposeful to you. And I hope your first SNT does well. If you find that you want some support in that and you want me to like show up, chances are I'll have the availability to do so. Just let me know as soon as you can because I am here to support and guide you and to overall make you better leaders, um, to create better communities, as Gary Turek once said. Again, I appreciate your time. Thank you guys so much. It was a pleasure, like always, and I will look forward to seeing this information in the chat. If you have a hard time finding some of the information in the manage your chapter section, please let me know, but it should be there as long as you're filtering appropriately. Okay, thanks guys. I'll see y'all later.